we're talking to the Honourable Member of Parliament for Ifutu and also the Majority Leader in Parliament. Yeah, I mean, any day with them, it's always great. Remember that this is Good Afternoon Ghana, and this is Monday. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Good Afternoon Ghana will play back. So just in case you couldn't watch on Monday, you can always watch on Tuesday from 2 to 3 p.m. My name is Aldo. Thanks to the entire crew that made this possible. Thank you very much. We came from the office of the Majority Leader. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Aldo Moro. This afternoon, we're excited and happy to be hosting from his office the Member of Parliament for Ifutu and also the Majority Leader. He has been talking, and typical of him, he's always been on an advocacy journey or an advocacy business. That's what he does in Parliament. Now, yesterday, the Majority Leader held a news conference, and he raised, amongst other things, what he says is the concerns that he has with the minority in Parliament. The minority in Parliament, per what the Majority Leader said, are making it very difficult for government to advance their industrial agenda. I'm talking about 1D, 1F. Now, what's the matter in issue? He says government has put before Parliament a tax waiver for 42 Ghanaian companies who are operating under the 1D, 1F. They want the minority to support them so they can also support these companies. But the minority are making their work very difficult. He thinks the minority are being hypocritical, and the minority do not care about the advancement or development of this country. So he's going to be throwing some more light on that. So when we come back from this break, I will introduce him and then we'll start a conversation. All right, welcome back. This is Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Aldo Moro. This afternoon, as I did indicate, I'm going to be talking to the Majority Leader in Parliament and also the Member of Parliament for the Ifutu constituency. I'm talking about the Honourable AFENYO Markin, who has gracefully joined us in his office to have a conversation about a very, very, very important issue that he's raised yesterday when he held a news conference. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us. It's been a while.
Indeed.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, you look good. I mean, the majority leadership position thing looks really good on you. I mean, you know, you seem to be doing well.
The position comes with a lot of work.
Right.
You need to spend a lot of time to do government business.
Right.
And it's not just the floor work that people see on their TVs, but you have some other serious engagement that takes a lot of time. So there's little time for leisure and pleasure. Mm.
What kind of leader are you? Are you a positional leader, or you're the type who likes to lead from the front?
Difficult to answer. My style of leadership is to engage when I have to engage.
Right.
To banter when I have to banter. To demonstrate that I mean no ill will, and to ensure that government business runs. Mm. So that's it.
Before you were finally confirmed, because remember there were rumors about the fact that you're going to be taking over as the majority leader, but before the rumors were being confirmed, a lot of things happened. We saw situations where the former majority leader had to resign. There were some meetings that happened at the Jubilee House, and then I'm told you were in one of the meetings, and then afterwards we saw the pictures all over the place, which showed that, look, everything is fine, calm down, you know, so on and so forth. When all those things were happening, you had Joe Wise, the first deputy speaker of Parliament, also the MP for Bekwai, who came out to say that, look, we're not going to allow anybody to impose a leader on us. And all these developments that happened before you finally were confirmed, what was the feeling? Were you surprised? Were you angry? Were you like, well, this is normal in politics, I've been around, I can understand people's emotions and feelings? How was the feeling like at the time?
So let me try to understand your question. If you meant I was in the know of a certain decision in my favor,
Right.
then it means that I would have a certain feeling.
Right, that's true.
Well, so my answer is that I wasn't in the know
Okay.
that certain things were being done in my favor.
Right.
What I knew was that government was realigning, and as part of the realignment, those members who had decided not to contest again were going out of government, and those who had also lost their primaries were also going out of government. That I was aware. I was also aware that the former leader, my predecessor, who had been in office for 23 years, you know, he started as a whip,
Right.
chief whip, through to deputy leader and leader, and he's led us for 23 years in Parliament.
Yeah.
I knew that he was not contesting again, and as part of the realignment, perhaps he was going to have a certain position in the new leadership. So that I knew. As to whether it was my turn, I couldn't have easily predicted.
Right.
So I would say that I was not in the know of any decision.
Not even a hint?
I'm saying that I was not in the know.
At all?
I was not in the know
Okay.
of any decision directly to put me in his big shoes.
Right.
Regarding the statement that Honorable Joe Wise said there was no going to be an imposition,
Yeah.
I believe that he was right in the statement, because obviously the party system we operate in MPP, there's nothing like imposition.
Right.
So he was right, and I'm sure I remember he saying that the caucus was confident, that
The right decisions will be made.
Yes, and that they had confidence in the leadership,
Right.
which he was right.
Right.
So I didn't see anything untoward by way of the statement he made. Of course, sometimes there's a media twist, but for everything he said at that press conference, I think it was in line. I mean, he said that they had confidence in leadership. I was part of leadership, and they did not think that anybody from outside would impose. Indeed, that's exactly what has been the plan. The party constitution allows for engagements, and before a final decision is arrived at, there's a steering committee, and then after the steering committee, the National Executive Committee, and then finally the National Council. So it's a process. Yeah, so that's what it is. Like I said at my maiden speech, I never saw myself taking up the leadership mantle at the time it did happen. Okay, you may have a dream, you may have an ambition.
Absolutely.
But as to the reality of it, realizing that ambition is another thing.
Absolutely.
So I never saw that day coming, and by the grace of God, they did.
Right.
And mine was to rise up to the challenge, avoid an unduly rancorous chamber, engage more, reach out more, discuss issues, make sure that I appreciate the disagreement from the opposing side.
Right.
And even in my own backyard, be a unifying force. I mean, because leadership comes with it all the entrapment and the trappings of office, and you need to understand people. And MPP is not an easy party to manage. You have people in their own rights, professionals, people who have their own wherewithal. You can't just dictate, think that you are a leader, so you are who you are. No, right. You need to do that engagement. So all these things came into play, and I'm sure I can't score myself, but I'm trying, and I'll continue to try.
You're one of those whose rise in politics has been generally described as very meteoric. We saw how you started. You took over a seat, which was the NDC seat, and you've made it more or less, it's not even a battleground anymore. You've made it more or less like a safe seat for the MPP. And then you were announced as the deputy majority leader at a very relatively younger age, and now you're the majority leader. Would you say that yes, even though you were not eyeing the seat per se when you were working with Che Mensa Bonsu, but then it also didn't come to you as a surprise when the party felt and believed that you were the person to take over from Che Mensa Bonsu following his resignation. Did it surprise you?
No, the ambition to lead the party was there.
Right.
But I wasn't expecting that to happen at the time it happened.
Right. Every politician must have an ambition.
Not necessarily, but from the one that I entered parliament, I said I wanted to be in leadership.
Oh, really?
That is why when we came into office, I never chased
any ministerial appointment or anything
after
like
any ministerial appointment.
Yeah. But were you offered?
No, but you need to put yourself up. You won't just get up and get it. You need to, you know,
show that you want
at the caucus level, I mean the regional caucus level, regional chairman would have to be engaged. So because there's supposed to be a national balance.
Right.
So there's that engagement. And I think I indicated that for me, I would want to serve in leadership and not ministerial.
Right.
I have my own career path. I think, like you said, advocacy. If you are in the chamber, you can do your advocacy. Others who want to be ministers can do their ministerial work, and then we also play our role. I didn't make it to the leadership at the time. I was sent to ECOWAS, and even so, there were issues there. I had to resign and come back, and later was sent there, and then I was again dropped at the committee level. I didn't have leadership at the committee when we came into office, but I saw all that as a learning process. Right. I still maintained my presence in the chamber, did my practice in court and ran my business, and we are here.
Two quick questions on your elevation as a majority leader. We can move to the more substantive issue on why you held that news conference yesterday, because it's an extremely important issue. But when you were given the position as the majority leader, I recall one of the things you said was that your leadership position, your leadership style is going to be different. Not in those exact words, but one of the things you said was that you're going to be deepening consensus building in Parliament. Yeah. How far have you been able to achieve that?
Well, we've been at it. It's been good. But like I said, you see, we are politicians with our ideological differences. So I don't expect my colleagues to always agree with me.
Right.
But there's also one thing that the Ghanaian doesn't know about the chamber work.
Right.
From, 92, there wasn't really a serious opposition.
Yeah.
But from 96 to date, I can tell you that the disagreement that you see constitutes perhaps a less,
even it's minimal?
About 2-3%.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's not what we see when we watch TV.
So I'm telling you.
As far as we're concerned, you guys are always fighting and debating.
Then I'm telling you, it's coming from me.
I see.
That a lot of the issues will build consensus. In fact, at committee level, I can talk about 99%.
Wow.
In fact, if you are an MP and you try to introduce partisanship at the committee level, your own side may even penalize you, punish you.
Hey.
Yes, I recall when we came in 2013, we were all over the place. I remember at the finance committee, one day the first deputy whip called me into his office and said, Markin, you know, committee dear, where I say, who oppose BBR? And I said, I didn't know. So we were given the certain orientation and told that, look, at the committee, look at the issues dispassionately.
Right.
Look at the issues, scrutinize, no partisanship, and look at the broader picture of Ghana.
How are you able to protect your party interest, but also
yes,
making
so
a broader interest
I'm coming
of Ghana?
there.
Okay.
So once you are done with your scrutiny, generally, you are then able to juxtapose that against your party's ideological position.
Okay.
Or the party's policy or the party's interest.
Right.
That, okay, on this issue, this is what the party believes in. Because we also have our leadership.
Absolutely.
So At that point, you can agree in principle, but criticize the mode of implementation.
Okay.
And that is how it's supposed to be. A lot of the times, both sides agree with minimum criticism or disagreement. And we tell things through.
Do you get marching orders from your parties? And I'm not talking just MPP, MPP,
it is
NDC.
part of every democracy.
It happens.
What we call three-line whip.
This is our position on this
No, of course. But you are here on a party's ticket. And that is why if you resign from your party, the constitution says you must lose your seat.
How are you able to navigate it? Because you're supposed to be objective,
But
dispassionate.
even so, you can't just get it. You can't just procure it with your left hand. You must engage. Because you can get very tough people who are professionals. And if the matter is in his area and he's well versed with the issue, and then you come and say, this is the party's position, trust me, you can't just get away with it.
I see.
No. Maybe in those internal debates we don't come out to show. But we engage in serious debates.
So a lot of the work is done at the committee level.
At the committee level, at the caucus level, discussions are held, because as a leader, I can't just throw out a matter and say that this is the party's position. I must engage various leaders, senior members. There are senior members. There are experts. I need to engage them. If maybe the party says that the government is imposing 5% tax on importation of a particular product, so I get marching orders from party headquarters. I come and say, we are opposed to this. I will get tax experts, consultants, in their own right, who will tell me that, leader, we don't agree.
I see.
This thing will help the country, and they have their justification. So I have to engage them, seek their views, and then we build a middle ground. If you try to be the kind of authoritarian leader, you say, and your word is a command, and nobody should have a say, you will not have it easy, and you won't survive.
I talked about building consensus that's between you and the other side. I'm talking about the minority side. In what state would you say that your group is in at the moment in terms of forging unity? Because one of the things you've also said is that you're going to build, or you're going to deepen unity within your ranks. You know, when you were elevated or appointed the majority leader, it's only human that you get one or two people who may not necessarily be particularly excited about it. It happens everywhere. Have you been able to rally everybody around?
It's been excellent. It's been excellent.
It's been excellent.
It's been excellent.
How are you able to tell?
It's been excellent.
How do you know?
Because I know.
Really?
Yes, I know.
What yardstick are you using to judge?
I know.
So far, so good.
It's been excellent, not good. So far, excellent.
So you have the full support.
Absolutely.
Of your team.
No problem at all. It's been excellent.
Once leader says this is where we're going, that's it.
No, once leader engages.
Engages first.
It's not about leader says.
Yeah.
No,
you're not
leader
a dictator.
engages.
Yeah.
I can't dictate.
Absolutely.
We engage. We have discussions. We build middle ground. We build consensus. We give notice of actions. You can't just run people around like kids.
Right.
No, it's not possible.
I see. Otherwise, you won't get their buy-in.
You can move. You need to move as a leader, and to move, you need to engage.
Was the central region, that's my final question to you, was the central region votes a major factor? And I'm asking this question because when you were elected, you monitor a lot of the analysis that followed your appointment. And one of the things was, it's strategic, was a master stroke, because central region is a swing region. You want to be able to appoint one of their sons. And not just an ordinary son. We're talking about somebody who has the competence, excellent human relations. And so you want to paint a certain picture to the people of the central region. There you have your own brother and friend, very good friend, Ato Forcing, on the other side, who's also from the central region. Do you agree with those who say that a central region vote was also a major factor that actually influenced your appointment as the majority leader, sorry?
Well, I think a political party which is out there on the election market would have to pay attention to packaging. So it's not out of place for the party to package itself considering all these factors.
Right.
Regional balance, tribal balance,
right.
Professional balance, and all. And I won't be surprised if that was part of the consideration
right.
in putting me on the hot seat. Mine is to deliver.
Right.
Mine is to demonstrate ability to live up to the challenge and to make MPP attractive. I don't believe in this hardline position, taking extremist stance. I believe in moving to the center in all situations. Our country needs that. Because if you look out there, there's so much impunity. So much impunity out there. Less accountability. MPP comes into office, does so well, but is unable to rally the people to support. NDC comes into office, play its role, is unable to rally the people to support. The difference between us and Europeans or the Americans or the people we think they are doing well is that there is a sense of responsibility. So somebody gets a loan, government loan, to set up a factory under NDC. He won't do it well. When it's time for prosecution, he goes for political cover. Somebody gets a loan under MPP or gets a contract to supply under MPP.
Fails to deliver.
Fails to deliver. When you are being held to account.
Political persecution.
Politics. I recall 2010, I went to Morocco to do spare part business. I was importing spare parts from Morocco.
You've done spare parts business
Yes,
too?
yes. I went into transport. And then at a point, I realized that I was spending so much on spare parts. So I ventured into the spare part business so that I could also sell spare parts for other transporters. Okay. And I went to Morocco to buy Iveco parts.
Okay.
Whilst in Casablanca, my business partner told me that, you know, the road that stretched to his factory was constructed by his brother. And his brother got the opportunity from a friend in government, with a caveat that if you don't construct the road well, the friend in government will lead your prosecution. In fact, he will be the complainant and get you prosecuted.
Right.
All right? So you may benefit from chronism, but with responsibility.
Right.
A lot of the investments in Ghana go down the drain because people are not responsible. And there's impunity. Right. Because people feel that nobody will punish me, or a day of reckoning will never come.
Right.
I will not look for examples elsewhere. I will use myself. I started off as an MP with a lot of energy, ambition,
right,
big dream for Winneba. I call it a future dream.
Right.
I used my own resources to procure brand new cars, 40 of them for a start. I gave it out to particular youths, people that I thought were coming from vulnerable homes.
For what, leisure? For business?
No, for taxi, work and pay.
Oh, work and pay, okay.
You know what? They didn't pay.
They didn't pay?
I had to pay back. 2 years after that, Suzuki, you know, I used to buy from them.
Okay.
Silver Star.
Yes.
They brought in Suzuki.
Yeah.
The small one. I went there to procure another 30. In fact, even they gave it to me on terms. So I guaranteed it with my check, posited checks.
Okay.
Dr. Baumia came to launch that taxi work and pay part 2.
Okay.
Now
yes, I recall. Yeah.
In Winneba, they didn't pay.
Wow.
Today, somebody will come again to me and say that, oh, leader, I want a car. I say, where? The ones that we brought, did you pay? You invest, and people think that because it's coming from political source,
should be free.
Not that it should be free, they abuse it.
Yeah.
I think that aspect, if we are able to work on it as a political class, it will help us. Because you see, we are all giving refuge to people who are irresponsible. When people breach the law, then they look for the politician for refuge.
Yeah, and run for cover.
The time has come for the political class to sit down and change the psyche of the people.
It's time for the political class to sit and change the psyche of the people. There's one other thing that the MP is also very worried about. He thinks that that wonderful cultural, what you call it, the wonderful culture that we have, we're checking up on each other, we're able to sit, talk without really thinking anything bad or anything negative, appears to be waning. He'll tell us why. Very interesting comment he has on that. This is Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Audu Moro. I've been talking to the majority leader and also MP for Ifutu, Alexander AFENYO MARKIN. We'll take a short break. When we come back, he would also tell us one more thing that he feels that we must critically look at, and then we'll move to the more substantive issues. Stay tuned in. Well, thank you very much, and thanks for staying with us on Good Afternoon Ghana. This afternoon, we're talking to one of the hard-working MPs in Parliament. Very affable indeed. I'm talking about the Honourable Alex AFENYO MARKIN. He's the majority leader in Parliament, and we've been having a very interesting conversation about, his meteoric rise in Parliament. I mean, politics generally, and also in Parliament. He's the new majority leader. This is the first time we're talking to him, so he's telling us how the journey has been thus far. But he has concerns, and he thinks that these concerns are concerns that every political party or the political parties or politicians must address. It's not about him or you, but generally if we don't address it, it would affect everybody. He talks about the culture of impunity and the culture of being irresponsible. People don't want to be accountable, and so on and so forth. We abuse the opportunities that politicians give us, and so that's where we ended. And he has some other concerns he intends to raise, so let me come back to him. Sir, thank you very much for staying with us. Now, you talk about a culture of impunity, something that we need to work on. I've also heard you talk about that we're destroying that fine culture we have, where I can pay you a visit, you can pay me a visit, invite me to Ifutu without even checking what phone I'm using and so on. But it looks like we're moving away from that. Technology appears to be affecting the way we live as a people. How do you mean when you express the concerns?
But yes, so back to the culture of impunity. I see a lot of investment going down the drain. I'm a private sector person, and I talk to the private sector. Today, unemployment is on the rise.
Absolutely.
But as a political class, we fear to confront how the challenge has come about and what is really happening.
Right.
Sometimes we want to secure the vote, so we don't want to tell the truth.
Right.
But, my brother, we have our artisans losing out of the market. These real estate guys, go to them. You Metro, go to the market, the construction site, individuals who are building. Go and find out how many Ghanaians are being employed. And these artisans form a chunk of the informal labor workforce.
True.
And they are a source of insecurity. They are vulnerable. They are easily the target of extremists because they feel the frustration the more.
Right.
The heat is more on them.
True.
And they are the group that we as a political class must work hard to protect.
Right.
But we've left them. And things are getting wrong, getting out of hand. I'm not against Togolese coming to Ghana. Neither am I against any West African coming to work in Ghana. But the situation where our youth have ceded that space for them is a problem. So you go to many construction sites, you find Togolese as masons,
painters,
tilers,
plumbers,
painters.
They've taken
you have
over.
Nigerians as carpenters. You have now Burkinabes taking over. You ask our Ghanaian entrepreneurs, why are you not employing our Ghanaian artisans? They say, oh, When they come to work today, tomorrow they won't come. When they start working in the morning, afternoon they leave site. I'm saying that this is something that we need to look at.
Attitude.
In fact, as a country, we need a new national orientation to guide the social fabric. They need to go the extra mile and give off your best.
Whose responsibility is that?
It's our collective responsibility as a political elite.
Okay.
And that is where I think we are failing. Because we are always looking at the convenience. We want to win power. We want to pounce on their vulnerabilities. But the situation is getting worse and worse and worse, because when it gets deeper, no amount can fill it.
Right.
So we need to get up, rise up to the challenge. These guys, when they come here and work, they change their cedi into dollar, keep it under their pillow, and remit it to their home country.
Right.
So it doesn't stay here. You don't run an economy like that. So that is a major thing I have. And each time I get the opportunity, I tell colleagues that let us, you see, the Ghanaian political class is unable to build consensus. I recall when my colleague, the minority leader, had his birthday last year.
Yes,
he
yes,
celebrated his birthday. Is it August or October? Oh,
yeah, the two of you were sitting together, having lunch.
Yes, and we had lunch.
Yes.
People were,
People give their own interpretations.
You don't do that.
To that picture.
Listen, the government appointee and the opposition member should sit together. They must appreciate certain issues and say that on this, we have one voice.
Right.
And when the populace see that, they would sit up. If somebody is wrong, he's wrong. And the interference from the external stakeholders, I'm not saying that they are supporting wrong, but I also feel that we are overly encouraging impunity.
Right.
And those things create dysfunctioning in government. No government can railroad its policies when some of these impediments are on its way.
Right.
If you say you want to create employment, but you don't have a system in place that would allow those active working group to get a space, or somebody to know that, look, I've been given a contract, I must do it and do it well. If you come to my constituency, government has awarded road contract to some 3 contractors. These 3 contractors, they said they had capacity to do it. It's been years. If you even call them, they won't pick. All right? And they do the work up to a point. You pay them, they would even go back to site. And you, the politician, you receive the insult. There must be a system in place where termination will be triggered automatically without any difficulty. Keep people responsible so that only the serious ones will get opportunity.
Right.
Now, you talk about relationship. Again, in Ghana today, blackmail has become the order of the day.
Right.
Where you cannot have a free relationship. You are even engaging somebody and you're wondering what will happen to you next. And we embrace it. You hear people recording people. I have had my fair share of such blackmail. Really? You know, some years back, where a very respected friend had visited me at home. We were having a very good conversation, unbeknown to me. He had a tape on him. It wasn't as if there was a planned conversation. So when I hear people becoming victims of it, I get worried. And it looks like, depending on how we see it, we all embrace it and we don't even want to reason through and ask questions. Is that how we want to build our country? No. So we have to be careful. Somebody will say, oh, I have a CCTV in my house. Somebody will say, oh, why are you denying? Oh, I recorded it. So there can't be privacy. But in this governance system, there are always unknown knowns.
True.
Some skeletons must be kept somewhere. it's not everything that must be said. Because the night walking is what gives the peace during the day. And if you create apprehension, cooperation suffers. And the political class must be conscious of all of these. Those serious democracies that have survived all these years had the red lines and the green lines. There are things that must not be done. Never. There are things that are never done. Never. Because it's nation building. You don't let the other side lose confidence. Else you always be at war. You need to also create space for Jojo. So the extremists who are playing, their role in our political system must watch it. And the moderates must wake up and get their voices heard loudly. So that somebody will not say an opponent should be an enemy. An opponent isn't an enemy.
So when you have a situation where recording has been done, but then the public thinks that at the end of the day it has achieved a good end,
I find it unfortunate, and I'm saying that
the clap for whoever did the taping.
And I'm saying that we have to be careful. My good friend Dr. Sebe Yabwa said once said that Obiambre Beso.
And that's where you determine whether it achieved its objective or not.
I mean, it's a fact. I mean, saying karma can be ruthless,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's watch it.
Okay.
Let's watch it.
Right. So I think at this juncture, I would want to say a big congratulations to the Honorable Alex AFENYO MARKIN. As did indicate, this is the first time we're having a conversation with him here on Metro Television since his assumption of office as the majority leader. He has a beautiful office, though. Well, you can't be here. It's only the two of us. I'm sorry. You couldn't have followed us. But let's now go to the more substantive issue. So you held a news conference yesterday, and you have been very critical of the minority. You're saying that the minority are anti-development, and I'm talking national development. You have issues with the fact that you've requested for some 42 companies to be given tax waiver, close to about 300 and something million US dollars. The minority says no. We have a serious crisis, economic crisis at hand. This is not the time for you to be giving freebies. You still justify it and say these companies deserve it. Why?
I think they are being obstructive and unreasonable.
Okay.
And all their arguments they make
are unacceptable.
Sit on stilts. They are merely pursuing partisan political interests, and they don't mean well. Very unpatriotic on their part, obstructing government business. And I've told them, and I don't mince words on that. In their era, the NDC granted tax waivers without bringing same to Parliament. They are talking about tax waivers of $350 million for 42 companies.
Yes.
Companies that got attracted by the 1D, 1F initiative of government. And they are here to create jobs, to create opportunities for Ghanaians, to help bring down the pressure on our city. Because once there's production locally, we have opportunity to consume some and export some, and foreign exchange. And that's exactly what they're doing. For instance, the company involved in oil refinery, Centrio.
Right.
We've always had problems with TOR. And there's a private entity that is doing that massive project in Ghana. And we don't want to support them. In the central region, close to my own backyard, Ifutu, we have Triton Oak, a company that is investing heavily in a tissue project, the first of its kind in West Africa. What that means is that the tissue factory, upon completion, is going to produce the raw material base for all the tissue companies we have in Ghana. So they are going to produce the jumbo. Currently, all the tissue companies import their jumbo. They import the raw material at a cost. They will change dollar and transfer dollar, and it will put pressure on the city. We have a company that, because of 1D, 1F, has come to site its factory in Ghana and is asking for tax exemption on raw materials and equipment. And somebody is in parliament, because of politics, frustrating that entity. If this company is able to do it, it's going to employ more. Now let's talk about tax incentive, the benefits. You see, in very simple terms, somebody can say that you are losing revenue because you are supposed to take the tax.
That's the minorities' contention,
right.
really.
You are to take the tax.
Yes.
So you get revenue.
Yes.
If you refuse to take the tax, it's freebie.
Yes.
That is the very neophyte approach, myopic understanding of the whole system.
Right.
But if you look at it broadly, in that context of economic growth, that space you grant that company, it reduces that company, its cost, because it's able to now bring more raw materials, it's able to increase production, it's able to expand, it's able to sell at a cheaper price. Let's use a B5 that is going to manufacture sanitary pads. If, from the justification that was brought, if they're able to get the tax incentive, they can produce the sanitary pads locally cheaper. And from the record, they have the capacity to serve the consumption rates without the need for import. So if we're able to help them to do that, we can now place embargo on importation of sanitary pad.
Right.
All right? To free a local company to expand. If they expand, they will be able to even export some.
Okay.
They will be able to employ more hands. Then the value chain becomes weighty and increased. So you don't just have to look at it so myopically as government losing revenue. Now, on the flip side, when this is done, government indirectly gets back the money.
Through the taxes they pay.
Through the taxes they pay, and then when their pockets are deep, more people are employed. They are able to also increase their purchasing power goes up. They are also able to invest, make savings, make consume more, do acquire assets, and that is what you do to aid economic growth.
Right.
But if the entry cost is high, the people will run away to other destinations.
Right.
Now, NDC, one company alone, Meridian Port Services, that company got a job to expand our port, Tema Port.
Yes.
They invested $1.5 billion. The NDC government brought a tax exemption application of $980 million. When we scrutinized their papers, then in opposition, the finance committee was able to bring it down to $832 million.
You played a role, I remember.
One company,
you were part of that company.
yes, I was part of the finance committee. One company got that tax incentive. I'll read something out to you. They got, for the amount they invested and the tax incentive we granted them, what that meant was that for every $1 they invested, they were getting 55 cents.
Right.
For free. But the understanding we had was that because it's being plowed back into the economy, it would create an opportunity for economic growth.
Self-financing.
And it would
project.
With a modern port, more merchants, more traders, more businessmen would use this Ghana as a gateway.
Right.
So we're okay.
Yeah.
Because there was competition in the sub-region. Apart from that, they were exempt from corporate income tax for 10 years. And a reduced corporate tax of 15% for after 10 years for additional 5 years.
Okay.
So totally 15 years. You know the last thing they got and the NDC?
Tell me about it.
Dividends to shareholders. Was the taxation on dividends was also exempt. So shareholders who got their dividend after all the gain were not required to pay tax for 20 years.
Okay.
This is what NDC gave to a company. And I am not criticizing it. Let's come to the companies that did not go through parliamentary approval. By the way, to situate the argument correctly, let me state that per Article 174(2), imposition of tax, variation or waiver can only be done by Parliament.
Absolutely.
No matter the mandate given to any entity to approve, whatever decision taken must come to Parliament for approval.
Right.
Now, between 2015 and 2016, NDC, through President Mohammed's secretary, approved 22 tax waivers for 22 companies. The total waiver granted was in excess of $800 million.
Right.
22 companies. These companies did not come to Parliament.
Which year was this?
Between 2015 and 2016. Some were approved in 2015.
Right.
And I have the letters signed by the secretary to the president. All right?
Right.
Sen Power, ShopRite, Cement de l'Afrique, Gassel, Dream Reality, EcoBank, Delico Achimota Ghana Limited, that's Achimota Mall. Delico Kumasi Limited, that is the mall in Kumasi.
Right.
Kumasi Mall, Garden City Mall, Boston Investments, Quantum Terminals Limited, West Hills Mall, Vicien Sugar Refinery, Sonon Asogli Power Limited, Mabani Southern Company Limited, Woma Africa. The list goes on. Tank Palace Hotel, Jata Cement, Jata Cement.
Right.
Avanti Properties Limited, and Wankan Ceramic Ghana Limited. All these companies, under a policy called Strategic Investor Incentive Policy,
Okay.
they were granted tax exemptions. Now today, I am happy to see Jata Cement functioning. It's owned by a Ghanaian. They got $50 million tax incentive. You see it? $50 million.
Right.
They invested an amount of $128 million.
Okay.
And they got a tax incentive of $50 million.
Right.
So, question is, if Jata Cement had paid $50 million in taxes, could they have been able to survive? Would they have been able to complete the project? If they were paying it on equipment and raw materials and whatnot? Because they were given this dispensation, they found it attractive to come. And today they are doing well.
So your question is, why can't...
Gassem has been in operation for so many years. But because of expansion, it needed that support in the continent. EcoBank is doing so well. EcoBank is a major bank that has supported this economy for good reasons. It's applied for a tax incentive.
And they got it.
If you check the records, EcoBank got from they applied for, yes, they had a project with an estimated value of 67 million, and they applied for a tax incentive to support that. You have this hotel at Roman Ridge, Okay, that also applied and got Town Palace Hotel. One would even question why Town Palace.
Should get a tax
Why should the hotel, the construction of the hotel, be considered as a strategic investment?
Right.
Because Accra has a lot of five-star hotels.
Right.
So if Foreign and Town Palace was being constructed in Winneba, or Paga, or Aplao, or Chame, one would say that, oh, it is an area that with that investment is going to create a new space.
Right.
But even so, for good reason, government felt that no, let's encourage that.
Okay.
So I'm saying that a government that saw the need to promote the private sector should not be the one to criticize this initiative merely because it's in opposition.
Right.
And that is why I'm saying that they're doing so in bad faith. They are obstructing government.
What was your posture when the NDC government at the time?
We supported them.
You supported them.
For those that came to parliament. But the 22 that I've listed,
yes,
all these
they
other
didn't come to
companies.
parliament.
But you, today, I appreciate the good reasons they had in approving it. We have ShopRite. It's not benefiting Ghanaians.
Absolutely.
The Kumasi Mall, the Achimota Mall. Look, I'm a private sector person, and I support any policy aimed at
creating a conducive atmosphere for them to grow,
space.
Yeah, to operate.
Countries across the globe are in competition.
Okay.
Investors are looking for where it will be cheaper for them to invest.
Absolutely.
So if you don't make your country attractive, they won't come.
2 quick questions.
And it's really frustrating what our colleagues in the minority are doing.
Just in case you just joined us, I'm talking to Majority Leader and also MP for Efutu, that's the Honorable Alexander AFENYO Markin. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana, and my name is Aldo Moro. I guess we have a few more minutes to go. So we're going to use the next 4 minutes to wrap everything up so that we can say goodbye to you. Now, Honorable, just a quick one. One of the issues that the minority has with this deal, they said, one, the economy is bad. Today, we are before the IMF begging them to help us with debt forgiveness and so on.
This will help the economy to revamp.
So it's not a strong reason.
No. You see, they are getting it wrong. Granting the tax exemption would encourage more companies.
Right.
If the successful implementation of this 1D, 1F would encourage more businesses to thrive,
finally,
to sustain the economy.
Finally.
It's not about the simplistic view of revenue at the port, or you have to take tax from equipment. But when the equipment comes into your jurisdiction, it's coming to create wealth.
I've heard Atu Forces say this is organized crime.
Oh, but
in his view, some people are fronting for some of these private companies.
Come on.
So that these private companies can incentivize you. We have elections coming, you need money. And that's why the minority, and not just you, I'm talking, that's why the majority is advocating this. How do you respond to this?
The most outrageous tax giveaway ever seen in the history of this country was the one given by the Atu Forson-led administration.
To which company?
To MPS, Meridian Port Services.
So this MPS
$832
so
million.
Let me read something to you, because whilst I was here, I spoke to, just a quick one, we have about 2 minutes or so to it. I spoke to Mona Quarte.
Yes, Mona Quarte
because I needed to understand
Mona was part of the team that came to Parliament. She was a deputy minister.
Yeah, so this is what she said. Ghana Ports and Harbours are the landlords of Tema Port. 2, that's 1. 2, MPS are tenants making a major investment to open up Ghana to receive and ship goods from not only Ghana but landlocked countries like Burkina Faso, etc. through Tema. 3, this infrastructure investment has brought in some revenue from duties and other taxes to our nation since implementation. 4, public-private partnership require investment from both partners. There's nothing wrong with government participation through tax exemption for a critical national development like port upgrade.
He should tell her colleagues in Parliament.
Number 5, AFENYO Markin was in Parliament committee and reviewed the justification and calculations and gave approval. 6, almost 8 years after being in office, he now has a problem with what he don't know. He doesn't have a problem.
No, he doesn't.
It's not a problem.
Madam
He's only
Mona
saying that
Quarte.
it's a principle that exists.
Exactly.
Just continue with it.
Let's
That's
continue.
what I said. Yeah.
Mona,
And
I don't have a problem
Yes.
with this policy. I'm not criticizing the tax exemption regime that you introduced because I'm a private sector person.
Okay.
And yesterday, let me take this opportunity to correct another erroneous impression. Some people ferry some misinformation to Mr. Ibrahim Muhammad that I was mentioning his company name,
Right.
Testament, I was against it.
Right.
Let me take this opportunity to re-echo the point I made. I am not in any way against tax exemption as introduced by the NDC.
Right.
Of course, I spoke about the unconstitutionality because the procedure must be followed to the latter.
Right.
They should have brought some to those ones that the executive approvals granted. They should have come to Parliament. But notwithstanding, I am not in any way against companies that benefited from tax exemption because it has helped the economy to grow.
Okay.
And I agree with Mona that MPS is doing well. You did this so that Ghana, the economy can grow, our ports can be an attractive destination because at a point, the landlocked countries were moving to Senegal, Dakar port.
Okay.
So the justification was that we need to create a modern port so that Niger, Mali, Burkina would use Ghana port as the route for their trade.
Right.
And we agreed. I'm saying that Mona should tell her colleagues in Parliament that what they are doing is wrong. She should tell them.
All right. 9th of June, Parliament resumes, right? 11th of June, Parliament resumes. What are you going to do differently, just briefly, differently, to make sure that you're able to get the buy-in of the minority? Could this matter is something
Speaker has directed the Finance Committee to ensure that it completes its work and bring us the reports.
Okay.
And we expect nothing but that.
Honorable, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so very much for your time. It's been great.